everyone! I'm super excited to do a quick garden tour today. I keep putting it off because the garden is not perfect, but if I wait until it is perfect, it will never happen. So let's jump into it. I'm going to try to take you around without spinning you around and making you all dizzy. The start of the garden down this one long side, you can see the orchard is in the back there. I've just got this long bed all the way down. There's a couple of things that I want to plant. I've got a patchouli plant and a lavender plant. I keep buying them when we go to shows and are out at farmers markets and stuff. I keep seeing plants for sale that I want, and so they keep coming in. These are, it's kind of coming to the end of my bread seed poppies. Hello, little bee, little pollinator friend. I got these, they're called giant rattle poppies, and so the poppy seed head is super big, and when they dry, they're meant to be, you can like paint them and decorate them and stuff, so that is the plan for those. They made lots of seed heads, and they are, in fact, giant. So that's exciting. I've got some hollyhocks going there, some zinnias. This is my first year doing zinnias, and they are very pretty flowers. It's almost like people grow them for that or something. But I've got a few more going. Some little alyssum, a lot of weeds, and that's okay. Gomphrena here. I transplanted some roselle, which is a hibiscus that you make hibiscus tea from. There's bee balm in the back there. I've got some, I don't even know what those are. They all look the same, so I probably planted them on purpose. These are giant hollyhocks on both sides of the trellis here. I've got some sweet potatoes that are going to climb up one posts in the middle. I've got Malamar spinach. I really wanted to grow this. It's a super heat tolerant, like a green leafy vegetable that you eat. And I was super excited. I got it to sprout, and it turns out it has that same like snotty quality like okra has, that like slimy, and I don't like it. So I'll try it cooked and see what I think. There's some more of the giant hollyhocks. They'll get like 6 feet tall, so I'll strap them to the to our little makeshift tunnel here. Some more sweet potatoes. Last year they worked really well in here. They just sort of crawl around between things. Horseradish, because everybody plants horseradish in their flower garden, right? Some gladiolus. I love gladiolus. They're really pretty. I grew them for the first time last year, and I really liked them. Strawflower. I don't even remember what some of these are. This is liatras that are about to grow here. Need to trim these cherry trees, which are overhanging the bed, which was not the plan. So I will trim those back at some point, probably in the fall. I scattered all of my amaranth seeds left over from last year. They sprouted, but something is eating them. Looks like flea beetles. Maybe that will keep them off of my eggplant. And hyssop, like a peachy orange hyssop plant. I love the smell of it. It smells really nice. Down here is another little bit of weeds, but this is our sunflower room. So you can see it goes all the way around. And we had some sparse germination, so we went back through and planted more. So there's more little sunflowers coming up all through here. They're kind of just a blend of all sorts of things that were left over and our own saved seeds and all of that jazz. This is a watermelon called Siberian Giant that I got in a seed swap, just as a nice little, like, here's a thing that you might like. Somebody's been eating my sunflowers. That was a sunflower. And so I planted them down here. These were orchard trees that didn't make it. So it's going to be a trellis this year in the corner of the sunflower room. So you can see a lot more sunflowers blooming or sprouting up. So this will fill in. Here's another one of those watermelons and the rest of the sunflowers. We also have the orchard trees that didn't die. They maybe look a little bit pitiful, but this is their first year. We got them on super sale, like $1 a tree last year, the very end of the fall. This is a new to me plant called lychee tomato, and I love them. They're incredibly spiky, like they're very painful. Don't grab a hold of it, but they have lots of the pretty flowers. I really like those solanum flowers. It's like tomato, potato, all of those genus flowers. I think the flowers are really pretty. So it's super spiky and will make apparently a tomato that tastes very fruity. These are the summer squashes. This is a baby butternut. I need to get out here and mulch around. I've got the plastic, these are actually spare roofing tiles. Just keep the weeds down before I get mulch. I've also planted another 4 varieties of squash, and they're just starting to peak up. I bought the first one as a plant. So I'm not seeing sprouts on the other ones yet, but we've got tiny mini like decorative pumpkins. We've got Lady Godiva, which has naked seeded pumpkins. I don't even remember. Another baby butternut, all that kind of stuff. Here's some more of the spiky plants. You can see, I'm not even going to touch it too much because it hurts. They almost grow like tomatillos. You can see the little fruit in there, but apparently they will ripen and be happy. Some more weeds. Our established orchard trees are about 8 years old, and then we have tons of new ones this year that we planted in like November last year. So we're working on getting things mulched and getting the orchard trees. We've had some damage and we need to prune some things, but we are hopefully going to actually get fruit this year. We've got everything that will grow in Indiana. Peaches, pears, plums, apples, lots and lots of apples. Every year we seem to lose our plums with a late frost, but this is a plum tree that's beautiful and covered in flowers every spring, but never makes any plums. So now, into the garden proper. We've got a little bit of everything all thrown together because that's the way I garden. We've got tomatoes here. These have got lots of flowers, but they haven't set tomatoes yet. These are Jersey Devil tomatoes. I'm trying 2 different kinds of paste tomatoes this year to see what we like the most and what grows the best. So far, San Marzano is still winning, but this is a mortgage lifter. It's the first time I've ever grown that, so I like to have a slicing tomato. These are all turnips I planted a while ago. You can see they are starting to be decent-sized turnips under there. So I'm pretty happy about the turnips. We ate one the other day. These are green beans, except they're purple. And then we've got eggplants that flea beetles just munch the holy heck out of eggplants at this house, and I cover them and I spray them and I do all the things, and they just are little jerks, tiny little black specks on there. And see how all of my leaves look like lace? That's what all of the eggplants look like. So we'll see if they die or not. These are some newly transplanted beets. So I started beets from seeds, and that's what the big ones are, like direct seeded, but almost none came up. So then I transplanted in some more, and then I've just put in the last few days a lot of the fall brassicas. So I've got red cabbage, there's kohlrabi, there's Brussels sprouts, there's broccoli. The bigger guys in the back are radishes, so those will come out in the next week or two, and you can see in between them are the new little plants going. So everything is radishes, and then the little guys are all brassicas. This is a tamarillo plant that is another tomato relative, but it's a long season, so it's in a pot. I don't normally grow stuff in pots because I don't ever remember to water them, but I really want to get fruit, and so if it gets close to freezing and it's covered in unripe fruit, I wanted to be able to bring it in. These are some more eggplants. See all the damage that these stupid little flea beetles do. We've got some new growth that seems to be being left alone. It's like if you get to the magic point, somehow they stop. I don't know if they find something else to eat or what. But we might get eggplants, we might not. Some happy basil plants there. This is the eggplant and pepper bed. So we've got some of the decorative, but we really like the taste of, basket of fire chilies. We've got mini bell peppers, and they're starting to bell pepper. Down here, they're like the size of a golf ball almost, and I think that's about full grown. They're supposed to be mini, and they're supposed to be very prolific, like make lots. So I have 3 plants of those. I obviously need to stake this one. And then we have paprika peppers. So these are the peppers that you dry and powder to make paprika. So we've got some of those, and then these are my 2 overwintered ones we've actually already gotten a crop of peppers off of. We've got a poblano and a cowhorn, and they are all covered in flowers and fruiting again. And then bananas, because that's what every Indiana garden needs, right? Also in containers, they will come live inside in the winter. Let's turn around and go back. So I consider these 6 beds like the main 6 garden beds, but then I keep expanding out the other side. So, some more in pots. For whatever reason, I could not get basil to germinate and grow to save my life. So when I finally did, I super babied it. So they may just live in pots this year. This is a tiny mini dwarf pomegranate tree. You can see a little pomegranate flower on there. And then we've got, these are another solanum, so tomato relative. This is another super spiky one. I don't know what it is about me and liking plants that can attack me, but these are naranjias, also called lulo, I think, but I'm excited for those. I've never tried any of these things, but I like growing unusual. So here's some more tomatoes. These are Brad's Atomic Grape, and we've got a lot of fruit. This one at the bottom has been big and looking just like this for ages, but it's still totally green on the bottom. So all of these are the Brad's Atomic Grape, and you can see I just grab whatever like stick and stake I can find, and I kind of tie them up. I'm good about pruning all the foliage off the ground, but that's about the extent of the pruning and maintenance I do with the tomatoes. We've got some Nicotiana flowers. I shouldn't have planted these in the vegetable garden, but I did. They're like toxic, so I don't like to plant toxic flowers in my veggies because the kids come out and eat all kinds of stuff, but they're really good about not eating things that you tell them not to, so I think they're fine. I planted them because they're supposed to keep bugs away, but I just didn't use my brain to follow the thought all the way through. Some Swiss chard. This is actually fall planted, and it's still going. Some of them have bolted, but they're actually still making some decent tasting leaves, so those will stay. These are black slicing tomatoes called black elephants. These also, the seeds came from a seed swap, so I have no idea what I'll actually get, but that's what the package said, so I'm excited to try those. These are my main crop of roselles, which is a hibiscus that you make hibiscus tea from. So they'll get big, like 5 feet tall, covered in the hibiscus flowers, and I'm excited. These are leeks I grew from seed. They're all multi-sown. Some of them are getting pretty nice sized and big. We're starting to pull those out, especially as they start going to flower. That's a little, I don't know if they're called scapes and leeks, but they're called scapes and garlic. So I'm calling them leek scapes. I cover things when I first plant them. I just stick one of these buckets upside down, so you'll see lots of these as I pull them off before I plant the next thing and put them on again. It just kind of gives, for the first couple of days, a little bit of protection. So these are Romanesco broccoli seedlings, and there's 6 of them around here. We've got some beets, we've got some fennel, I've got some seedlings of both of those to transplant in as well. Normally I'm a huge fan of direct seeding. I just have not had very good luck this year with getting direct seeded stuff to go. So I've been doing a lot of transplants. These are onions that obviously went to flower. The onions are no good to eat anymore, but I think the onion flowers look cool. So, and I may collect seeds to do onion flower, or to to grow some more onions. So we'll see. But right now, they're just pretty. These are all edamame, like soybeans for eating, is what is all in here. Some more onions that haven't bolted yet. So we're sort of slowly pulling those out to eat as we go. And that gives more room for the beans to come up. And we're gonna come over this way. So these are the covered things. These are mystery peppers. A friend got a huge flat of like 100 pepper seedlings from a friend of hers, who said, I have all the peppers I need, go nuts. And so she gave me half of those, and then I gave away 90 peppers after I planted, I think I planted 18 of the pepper seedlings. So don't know what they are. There's everything in there from a Scotch bonnet, which is a super spicy, to just like bell peppers. So they're a mystery bag. We'll see if I don't kill the seedlings what we get. These are more beans. I think these are cowpeas. Maybe these are edamames and the other ones are cowpeas. Something like that. I ran out of seeds halfway along, and so I planted some more purple green beans up at the top. There's some more onions in here, so as those pull out, the beans get more room. The big guys here are parsnips. Had horrible germination. So I don't know. I don't know if it's me or the soil or the seed or what. But direct sowing things for me is just not really working very well this year. So that's okay. I'll start over with transplants. These are okra. Happy little okra now that it's gotten super hot. We've got 6. We love pickled okra in this house. The 5.5-year-old cannot get enough pickled okra. So that's partially why I'm growing 6 plants. That's probably more okra than we would eat fresh, but not pickled. Put the last of the purple green bean seeds in here. So those are growing in. Some more onions. I tried to do onions in a bunch of little spots because they're supposed to deter pests. I'm not sure if I think that that's true or not, but maybe. And we eat a lot of onions, so that's fine. These are potatoes. They're starting to look pathetic, so there'll be time to pull out soon. Oops, I see a little green one that got too much sun, so maybe I'll try planting that one a little bit later. So that was the main 6 beds. Now we get up into the fruit. So these are grape vines. There are absolutely tons of grapes in there. I can't even tell you how many because they're very covered in foliage. So I picked some green ones to kind of thin things out a little bit. We'll see. We'll see if the birds eat them all or if we get some. These came free like 8 years ago when we bought all of our nursery trees or our fruit trees, and we stuck them in the ground. So I don't even know what variety they are. Theoretically, there's peas planted beside them, but the grapevines went so nuts the peas are all, and it's too hot for peas anyways. The peas have just kind of gone. These are blueberries. We're still getting the very last of them. The very last of the blueberries on some of these. 0 blueberries made it into our house because this is the kids' garden job, is they pick all of the berries and they can eat whatever they pick. So they eat all of them. We underplanted all of these with beans. So these are chickpeas under here, and we've got black beans all the way along, a fair number of black beans coming along. We're starting to get flowers, but I don't think any actual beans yet. And then these are edamame, soybeans for eating. And you can see we are starting to get some edamame. They're little fuzzy things. They're cute. So I'm excited. I really love to eat edamame. The last blueberry, and a bunch of the purple green beans. There are actual green beans growing on these plants, but I'm not seeing any right now. This is another popular kid foraging spot, and that's fine. I'm growing the vegetables so the kids will eat vegetables, and they're eating the vegetables. So I must be doing it right, yeah? Then the fruits just keep going up. These are blackberries. We've eaten lots of the blackberries, but there's still some. At the kind of the end, it's kind of the end of the blackberries and the end of the blueberries. I'm also growing a loofah up here, and there's 2 more loofahs in the bed. I also got some potatoes and didn't have anywhere to put them, so I stuck some potatoes in here where the blackberries haven't filled in. I don't think they've started to sprout yet, but they will soon. And then the last of the fruit is the red raspberries. These are well and truly done, but we got a lot of red raspberries too. And this is super shaded. See the gigantic pine tree? And all of the soft fruits really seem to do okay. We've even got some runners in the path that I'll transplant back in. There's some gaps in there. So now we're going to move to this side. We expanded out this way this spring. I've got some brassicas. We'll see if they make it. Cabbages and broccoli and Brussels sprouts. I don't know. I'm not thrilled. They seem like they've taken forever to do anything. It's kind of too hot now for them. When I planted them, it was a sensible time of year. They just didn't really do anything. The tomatoes are a different story though. 4th of July, and we've already picked like 4 tomatoes, and we've got lots more going to town. So these are all San Marzanos, which are my favorite saucing tomato thus far. And this is our very makeshift trellis. Basically everything in our garden was free. We get a lot from our Buy Nothing group, from my parents, from other like friends who are just say like, hey, I've got this thing. So we build trellises and posts and stuff out of all kinds of stuff. And you know what? The plants don't care. Here's another potato bed. I'd planted some lettuce in here, and it was in here for like 4 months and it just never grew. So there clearly wasn't enough energy or nutrients or whatever in the soil. So I added a bunch of compost and a bunch of dirt on top, planted potatoes. Something keeps digging it up. I think it's to get to the compost. It wasn't particularly well rotted compost. So there are potatoes growing. I don't know what it is that's digging. My guess is a groundhog. And we'll see how many potatoes come up and how many the groundhog ate. Then this is the cucumber and squash bed. So we've got cucamelons. They have tiny cucamelons on them. They look identical to watermelons, but teeny tiny, like mouse melons. But then when you like eat them, they're really a cucumber, a slightly lemony tasting cucumber, but we love them. So we've got cucamelons. There's a random turnip green plant in between them. I don't know, but it tastes fine. We've got pickling cucumbers. I don't know if you can see it, but I can see a tiny cucumber, flower on one of those. So 2 pickling cucumbers, and then a lemon cucumber here. And then these are all crookneck squashes. It looks like we've got 4 of the yellow crookneck, and you can see exactly what those will look like. They'll look like that, but bigger when they're ready. And another homemade trellis with, my dad has planted a lot of trees at his house, and he was protecting them when they were little with these wraps around the bottom. And when he was done with them, we have repurposed them. This is the watermelon and squash bed. So these are Tigger melons. I had to replant because something ate the seeds the first time. But they seem to be coming along much better now, and they've gotten much bigger than they did last time. This is cantaloupe, and there's a good number of flowers under there. And then this is lemon drop watermelon from Saved Seeds. Both the lemon drop and the cantaloupe are from Saved Seeds last year. And the squash on this side, there's 3 plants, and these are patty pans. And I thought it was neat. The female flowers have this tiny little like disc underneath, and so that's what will turn into the patty pan squash. So 3 fairly happy ones of those. And then this was my bed that I didn't ever specifically designate for anything, and so every time I had spare, like a volunteer plant that came up or a spare plant that I didn't know where to put it, I put it in here. So we've got tomatoes. Most of these were volunteers, so I have no idea. They'll probably mostly be yellow pear tomatoes, but we'll see. They probably hybridized from last year, and it'll be interesting. And then these are zucchini. The zucchini are not very happy. I don't probably think there's not enough nitrogen in here, but I don't really care because I bought the zucchini plants for my parents. We don't really like green zucchini. So now we're in the perennial beds. This is Jerusalem artichoke, which is actually a sunflower relative, but you eat the tubers underneath it. It's a bit of a bully of a plant, and it is living up to its reputation. There's also cardoons in here, which are an artichoke relative, but you eat the stalks of the plants instead of the flower buds. I say that, I haven't eaten them yet because this is our first year, and we'll see if I actually get a chance to because the Jerusalem artichokes have just taken over. But there's 3 of those, and then there's cowpeas in front and kind of around. The Jerusalem artichokes are just not staying on their side. This was sensibly planted. They're just flopping forward and taking over. These are Jacond. I don't know exactly how you pronounce the J. I believe they're a South American thing, and they're similar to a yucca. Again, it's the root that you eat, but there's 4 of these plants growing, and I would be excited to try those, and more cowpeas. Looks like we finally got some buds on those. These haven't done a whole lot. We kind of stuck these in the perennial beds to add some more nitrogen for them. It'll be fine to get cowpeas. Those are like black-eyed peas that you eat cooked, but we mostly planted them for nitrogen. Then this is asparagus. All of this asparagus grew from seed from our own main asparagus bed. And it's very, very happy, and it's really filled in. There's sea kale at the back, which I've had some nibbles on. That's a perennial kale. We really, really like kale, and so having some perennial kale seemed like a good thing. And then this is where the rest of those mystery pepper seedlings went. They just seem happier when I transplant stuff if they are covered. Like I plant them, I water them well, and then I cover for a couple of days, and it's like it keeps the direct sun off of them, keeps them more moist. There's little holes in all of these. These are actually, I used all of these containers for winter sowing, if you've ever heard of that. So these are like leftover from something else, but they've got those holes that are a little ventilated, all that jazz. This is the asparagus patch that we planted when we moved in like 7 or 8 years ago, and it's very happy. But it makes seeds. The girl asparagus plants make little red berries, and I gathered those up last year mostly because the kids wanted to, and those are what we planted to get all of the other little asparagus plants. Plus something went a bit wrong. I'm blaming children, but we have little asparagus coming up in several other places too. So asparagus are really easy to grow from seed. I did nothing here. These are essentially weeds. My guess is the kids dumped the bucket of asparagus berries down there and they all sprouted. So the last section was new last spring. We added that, and here's just the middle kind of disaster part. Like I said at the beginning, I never want to do these because it's never perfect, but it will never be perfect, so you might as well. These are all potatoes. The potatoes are about ready to come out. There's actually a rake in here to keep these out of the walkway so I can walk through. These are going to be ready to come out. We're kind of just pulling them as we're eating them right now, but these are going to be our fall root veggies are going to go in here, like carrots and rutabagas and turnips and stuff like that. Then here is, what are these? Sweet potatoes. So these are some sweet potatoes. I'm training them up. We used to have a clothesline, but we never dried clothes, so we took one of them out, and we could not get this post out. So I decided to embrace it. These are the rest of the winter sewing containers. I hung them up there because I didn't have anywhere to put them until I finished that job, and now they may just live there. I'm going to call them a scarecrow. Another tiny bit of potatoes. This whole bed was potatoes, and we started at that end and started picking them across. And as we get some more space, we plant some stuff into them. So these are all pickling cucumbers. We eat a lot of pickles in this house. So I planted another, I don't know, like 10 pickling cucumber plants there. And then I don't know what these are. There's 3 of them. They are not what I planted. They don't look the same. At least the cotyledons didn't look the same as the pickling cucumbers. So I have no idea. It's a cucurbit of some variety. It's a squash or a melon or a cucumber. We'll see. This space has not been planted yet, but will be. Probably carrots. I'm putting my husband in charge of the carrots because I have tried 6 times so far this spring and succeeded 0 of those times. We've got corn. We've started to get some tassels. They're a little short. I don't know why. Our corn always seems to be shorter than expected. This had kale in it this spring. And the kale is still doing fine, so I haven't ripped it out. I just keep picking it. Maybe that's why the corn is short. Who knows? There's also, this is where I keep getting the volunteer tomatoes from. There was lettuce in here that's gone to seed a little bit. It's probably not very tasty anymore. Some more kale. There's 3 varieties of kale in there. The last few potatoes that I snuck out because I didn't have any place else to put it. There's only like 3 potato plants in there. Those are about ready to harvest too. And then this was a beautiful stand of garlic until last night when we pulled it all. Probably 50 or 60 heads of garlic. Some of them were big. Like some of them were, I don't know, yay big. And it was very exciting. I love picking root crops because it's like magic. You don't know, or it's like a present. You don't know what's going to be under there. But I'd snuck in some tomatillos in front of the garlic, and 2 of the 4 are doing great. One of them is tiny, and one of them is gone. So I don't know what happened, but that's fine. 2 tomatillo plants is probably enough. And then here's our runner beans. We've got some scarlet runner beans, some yellow runner beans, and I underplanted those with some plants that will be happier in the summer heat if they're shaded. So this is arugula. We've got 6 of those, and then we've got bok choy under here. So my thought is they will be under shade with the beans, and when the beans come out in the cold, these will be ready to go. We'll see if that works. It might. I also planted some lettuce, which all died in the heat. It was little seedlings like this, and I just didn't keep it cool enough. So that is the garden on the 4th of July morning. I'm pretty happy. This was lawn before the pandemic started 18 months ago. So, well, the fruit bushes were here and the one bed of asparagus, and then maybe 15 of the orchard trees were here. But everything else is new, including about 20 more orchard trees. We also have a little bit of garden snuck around in other places. There's walking onion and rhubarb bed here that needs weeding. And there's our sage hedge with some other random stuff in there. Pretty roses, some herbs. That's thyme, I think. There is somewhere in here. This is horehound. I love horehound candy, not because I like the taste, but because it was my grandpa's favorite. So I'm like, oh, a horehound plant, I'll get it. Yeah, the plant tastes awful. Nothing like horehound at all. It was horrifying. And then these are toothache plants. If you bite them, you will think that your mouth is gone numb and you start drooling everywhere, and they're a funny joke to play on people, only with their permission. And then we've got some chives and some chamomile that I need to come out and pick flowers because they've needed picking for a little bit now. There's also some weeds, but a lot of sage. And then we've got our strawberry lawn and gooseberry plants and shade garden and stuff over there. And then this is a pear tree that was here when we bought the house. So that's our garden.